Good morning, pirates. Good morning, and how are you today? It's Thursday, and I just wanted to bring a special episode and just a light shining in the world. And Tricia is going to talk about divorcing and in a way that you probably never heard before. And I just want to shine the light and share a story and make sure that you have the information you're looking for. So join us in the comments and allow us to share this story with you today. See you on the inside. Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. Tricia, good morning. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Ross. Thank you.
You know, we attempted this. I think it was it last month already. Was it? It could have been last month. And,
yes.
We had technical issues, but we went through it. We continued to show up, and I just wanted to bring you back and allow you to tell your story in a way that is a little more impactful, because I enjoyed talking with you. I enjoyed spending time with you, and I just wanted to let people know that there are options, and there's a lot of things that take place in our lives that we don't expect, or sometimes that we actually have to move forward with and make decisions that are, challenging at times and important to make. So getting divorced was one decision that you made in your life later in life. And I just wanted to allow you the opportunity to share that story and get there with a message that was going to allow you to make an impact in the world. So please share your story today.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, please share your story. And you got book signings coming up. You got you have your book. What's the name of your book?
The Great Divorce Revolution.
The Great Divorce Revolution. So
yes.
So dive into the story and let us know. Share the you wanted to tell the story a little bit in advance of our conversation. So please dive into that and let's get into it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a couple of statistics. First of all, 1 in 4 people divorcing today are over the age of 50. Out of those people, there's approximately a little over half have been married for better than 20 years. And 66% of those people are women that are initiating the divorce. And that was one of the reasons why I decided I wanted to write the book. Now, also, I felt like it was important that people understand the process of divorce to some degree. So there is information about that, but this is my story and my truth. There are 6 stories that actually jumpstart the rest of the book. Mine is one of them, and I am going to tell the story of after my divorce was signed. So here I go. It was pared down quite a bit. So it's what ordinarily a half an hour of my storytelling, but this is now going to be 15 minutes. So this part of the story is called Tea and Mr. Coffey. My next encounter with a man taught me so much about myself, about self-love, lust, and what it feels like to be touched by a love that I have never felt before, one that has pierced my soul. I never meant for it to happen, and neither did he. He was looking for sex, and oddly enough, I thought I could be this modern woman in the dating world. That was lesson number 1. I soon realized that this lifestyle was not for the faint of heart. And after much research, I found that my love language was not aligning with this way of life either. Wow, I've learned so much about relationships and love that I can't even believe what's coming out of my own mouth. Well, I told myself that this man would break my heart, that I would fall hard and fast for him, and I did, very hard and very fast. And yes, he broke my heart, but I allowed him to by continuing the affair. We met on Plenty of Fish. Let's call him George. I guess he had been surfing before he met me because he claimed his profile was old and no longer up to date. Some have said, out him, but I cannot. His friends would be shocked knowing that he led a life that they knew nothing about, along with the fact that he would be quite embarrassed. Stops me from doing that. He's the last man you would suspect, but underneath his glasses and that innocent boyish look is another man, the man I experienced. When he contacted me, he had no photo of himself on his profile. I deleted everyone without a photo until that fate-filled day. Ladies and gentlemen, when a person does not place a photo on their dating site, be aware. The likelihood is that they're cheating on their spouse or partner. For whatever reason, I text back saying, I don't speak to men without a photo. It wasn't but a few minutes later, and I received a picture of him. I'll note a few things here. First, if you find yourself drawn to a person against all logic, go for it. The universe might be telling you something. Second, good things come in all different packages. Just because it looks different than what you expect, don't let it stop you from moving forward. So now, back to Mr. Coffey. I don't know what I expected, but he didn't look like it. We did, however, continue to text and then spoke. Our text feed was very much full of clever, thoughtful, playful text, and when we spoke, it was very much the same. Shortly after that, Mr. Coffey asked if I would meet him for just 5 minutes at Dick's so he could buy a pair, what he called lawn shoes. I agreed to meet him in front of the store, and when I pulled up, I was pissed. I cursed under my breath. This creep isn't even here. But a moment later, a man sheepishly walked towards the front. It was him. I introduced myself, but I was shocked at the first words out of his mouth. Wow, I knew you were going to look just like this. Well, that started the meeting off with just the right vibe. I was immediately taken by his words, the tone of his voice, and his adorable smile. We sat at the bench and spoke outside for a few minutes. I could tell that he was a bit nervous. Then he asked if we could go in and select his shoes, so off we went into Dick's. Mr. Coffey took a few pairs off the shelves, and we found the saleswoman. He gave her the shoes and the size and made some sort of joke. I don't even recall. And then I said to her, oh, don't listen to him. He does that all the time. Mr. Coffey had a way of making people laugh, and so she was grinning from ear to ear. She comes back with his selection, and we are well into our little cat and mouse game that we've been playing. She hands him the shoes, and he puts them on and asks me my opinion. Oh boy, does he not know me yet. I give it to him, call them clodhoppers. He takes it on the shoulder and reminds me that they are for cutting his lawn. I said, good, because I wouldn't be seen with you and them in public. This woman is entertained by us and asks us how long we've been married. We tell her the truth. We met outside 5 minutes ago. Now she is almost on the floor. But she says, no, really, how long have the two of you been married? We assure her that this is the truth. As we head to the cashier, she is still in disbelief. That was our first meeting. I'm smiling as I write this. You may have had to have been there, but Mr. Coffey made a great impression on the saleswoman and myself. He and I were anxious to see each other again. We spoke several more times, teasing, playing, and stroking each other. He was always charming, always smiling, always looking to laugh. It was such a breath of fresh air that it pulled me right into him and his arms, even though he told me he had been in a long-time relationship. Since infidelity is only a symptom of a more significant issue, well, please don't judge me until you hear my rationale. I believe you can't cheat on someone if you are in love with them. You just can't do it. You wouldn't even consider doing it. If you can cheat on someone you claim to be in love with, you're not in love. You're just in love with the idea of being in love. Would you cheat if you really loved your partner? I couldn't. Naive, maybe, but that's me. The next significant date is over the top. Mr. Coffey arranges a weekend in a fabulous resort. He greets me with a paper cup full of wine as I pull my luggage from the car. I made a sassy comment about the classy man that I'm about to be with. He gives it right back to me. As we share a meal later that evening, my hand is wandering up and down his leg. I could tell he was enjoying the touch. After dinner, we wandered around the grounds. The night is very beautiful. He places me on a hammock and then lays beside me. The light of the moon is on his face. I still see those piercing eyes looking at me, shimmering, anxious, and happy. As we're headed back to the room, a fire is burning in the pit. 3 women surround it. Mr. Coffey looks at me and I nod and we wander over. We sit now making small talk with them. It wasn't but a few minutes and our conversation stops abruptly. One of the women turns to me and says, I want what the 2 of you have. She states she is divorcing. She can tell we are very much in love and wants to feel the same. She wants her man to touch her as Mr. Coffey is touching me. She wants her man to look at her the way Mr. Coffey is looking at me. She wants to look at her man as so he will understand the love she has for him as I am looking at Mr. Coffey. Wow. Then the all-important question comes up again. How long have the 2 of you been married? We look at one another, laugh, and are forced to reveal our same spiel as we gave to the saleswoman at Dick's. The weekend was very much a success. We had arranged to be there for our very first interlude. We had had enough of sneaking around his neighborhood and stealing lustful kisses in a dark parking lot. Today was the day we would share a bed. Today, Mr. Coffey would make yet another beautiful mistake. As we came together, it seemed so very natural, as if we were together many times before. I was very frank with him. He knew I had not been intimate for quite some time. It wasn't our best lovemaking, but for the first time in a very long time, it was an exciting evening for both of us. Shortly after that, we had dinner in a condo nearby. Mr. Coffey excuses himself. I'm still picking at dinner, and the young woman who's our waitress clearing plates says, you guys have been having fun. You still must love each other. So many couples don't even talk to one another, and there the 2 of you are laughing away. That became our little getaway. It was where we would learn about each other's likes and dislikes, where I learned his sinus cancer, where I learned that a man's loose shirt is sexier to him than red or black nighties. It's where I learned just how hurt he was from his ex-wife's infidelity, where I learned of his religious upbringing and how it affected his outlook. It was where I learned about anything and everything he wanted to share with me before or after our lovemaking. It was also the place that I told him I loved him. I thought I was being so romantic. I took live rose petals and threw them on the floor from the front door to the bed. It was also the day that I picked the petals off of his back and his butt. I thought it was comical, but that was the only time he wasn't laughing as hard as I was. Oh, and there was a time I accidentally gave him a hickey. He brought makeup and wouldn't go out for a week. At least someone would see. How many of you would have laughed? Be honest. You would have. I guess the last bit of information was when I took my sister to the hospital in March when COVID-19 just started to hit Florida hard. As she lay in the emergency room bed, we spoke. Who knew that that would be our last conversation? And her last words as I closed the door were good luck with Mr. Coffey. I'm going to stop here. I'm feeling feelings I have never in my life felt before. I am scared. Scared I'll be devastated. Scared that I'll never be able to feel this way again. Why? Because I am euphoric. He touches me and it's like he is touching my soul with an atom bomb. This is a place no man but Mr. Coffey has ever touched. When he looks at me, I feel somehow connected. He smiles and laughs at his own silly jokes, and my heart is in his hands. I felt this almost immediately and was forced to leave him just weeks after we met. Truth be told, I left him 4 times during our 13 months together. My running made it hard for him. He thought I left him because I didn't care. But I couldn't stay away for very long because that was the furthest from the truth. Each time we were together, we couldn't stop touching one another. It didn't matter where we were, his home, on his boat, my place, my sister's house, even in our cars. We would laugh and say we were crazy, but it was much more than that. I knew that it had to be. I started looking up all of my wild feelings, and there was an article that saved my sanity. It was written by Dr. Jennifer Rhodes, detailing her personal twin flame experience. She was a licensed doctoral level psychologist and relationship expert for 10 years. There, I received answers I was looking for. Not that I buy into all of that is written on twin flames, but I did find my answers. With that said, I will tell you I'm infinitely creative, empathetic, and fiercely romantic. I have a wild child side of the strong-willed businesswoman. I'm at times in awe of the world. I love to build castles in the sky, be silly, and laugh a lot. I guess that's one of the reasons why I felt so drawn to Mr. Coffey. We made each other laugh. Even after 4 months, I still feel him come to me. I feel his breath on my neck. It feels like fire. His hands up and down my legs as I wrap them around him. Just talking about him still gives me the chills. And this has been the hardest and longest time without him. I thought he was the one, my future life partner, my friend, my hero, and my lover. So by this time, you must wonder how it all came to an end. I promised him I would never leave him again. Mr. Coffey left me. He never lied to me, not once. The only lie I ever told him was that I didn't believe he could love me when I already knew he did. Not because of his words, not because of our sex life being over the top, not even because our laughter and the joy that we brought into the relationship, but because he wanted to live my life, but couldn't take that I did. The other reason, and the most important one to me, was his empathetic tone of voice when he seriously spoke to me, which was not often, as he had difficulty communicating his feelings. But in our last conversation, which I will not share, he asked me a question. As I answered in detail and with a full heart, I knew this would be the last time I would hear his voice. I knew I was asking him to do something that he did not have the courage to do. I knew all of the things he promised we would do together would never come to fruition. We would never spend time in the mountains in a cabin with a roaring fire, cooking, talking, laughing, and loving. I knew all of the plans that we had made for the someday would never be. Being the other woman, I don't expect your sympathy, especially from the wives and partners reading this. I realize this might be a sore spot. I don't believe either one of us are villains. I do believe love has a way of changing your moral compass, and your heart chooses who to love. And so you might be skeptical of my motives in telling you such details. My intent was never to disclose nearly as much as I have, but everyone that critiqued the stories requested more information about Mr. Coffey. They wanted to know the real man, what he did for a living, why his wife left him, why he never married again, where he is living, why he didn't love me as much as I loved him, why I fell in love with him in the first place. I was blasted by questions. I chose not to answer for many reasons, but they still wanted to know the raw and even messy part of Mr. Coffey's life. It was said that I sucked readers in and let them down because I left out so much. We all have such insatiable appetites, and some of us choose to live vicariously through others. So I tell you this true love narrative in hopes of you creating your own juicy hallmark moments in your own life and cherishing them. With all the stuff that goes on in the world, there is one hope that remains constant, that we all long to love and be loved. My hope for you is that as you continue to read about all of our experiences, that you might take away a golden nugget from any of our stories, to be inspired, to dream, to lust, and to love. Read on, my friends, and don't miss the many resources this book has to offer in Section 3. Every story should be told. If you have one, write to me. I want to know. You can send any questions, stories, or book requests to triciascimone@gmail.com. So, Russ, that's the end of the story. But with all of that said, there is actually a backstory. And I will, yes, I will tell you this. So now that the book has gone out and there's more than a few people that have read it and I've gotten some feedback, it seems that many people that are seniors were very concerned about the fact, not so much the young people, were very concerned about the fact that I build my story as a love story. And
Mhm.
this is my perception. It's how I felt about it. And so I feel that it's just that, a story of love that had an expiration date. And I have come to find out that when people want a love story, they want a happily ever after. They want, an engagement. They want a marriage. They want something that shows a happily ever after. But this story does have a happily ever after because of the fact not only did I feel so absolutely positively in love, and I really understood what real unconditional love was like, but on the journey, I also found that even though I thought I was very self aware and I thought that I really had a very good stance of self love, I had come to find out that I didn't know myself enough to love myself. And
Mm.
part of this journey was learning to love myself. And so I will tell you today, I have a great love for myself. I look in the mirror and I say, I love who you are. I love your completeness. I love your worthiness. I just love who you are. And that turned into yet another love story because I then found that um, God and I had a special bond with one another. And I have come to understand the love of God more so than ever before. And so my love story turned into a self love story that turned into a love of God. And so, honestly, this has been the most phenomenal journey that I have ever taken. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And it has become my passion to help people that if they want to move on from their hurts and they want to learn what it's like to live a very beautiful life in either singlehood or going out there and dating again. I've put together a fabulous course that takes them on the very journey that I took.
It's really interesting, Tricia, that a couple of things. I want to unpack this a little bit. And
Okay.
the idea that we actually, until we can actually feel the depth of those feelings and the depth of what love can really be and how that experience unfolds in our lives, we really can feel a lot more than we imagine we can feel. and
Yes.
and and the both sides of the equation, you could feel the pain of loss, and you can't feel it unless you've actually lived it. And that's the kind of uh, impact that life can make and love can make, is the idea that we can't have love without loss, and we can't have a love story unless we've known it, we've lived it, we've understand what it means to actually feel that and have that impact in our lives and make that major impact. And just um just the feelings, I just, having been in love and lost it, and gone through that more than once. It's, you think, okay, well, there's still hope. There's still love out there. There's still somebody out there. And I believe that there's a lot of people out there that we could actually have that with, if we choose to go out and, extend that invitation in what we're doing. So it's a brilliant story, and I really appreciate that you shared this today with us. And I just really, I want to know, are you going to continue to go out and explore life and find out what is out there for you? And what's your thoughts on that?
Okay. Well, I want to tell you that you're absolutely right. We make choices every single day. Most people, unfortunately, are unaware of their choices that they're making every day because life is so hectic that we don't realize many of the times all the choices that we're making. And sometimes when we do nothing, we're making choices as well.
Yeah.
Many of the times we also talk ourselves into all of these negative things. And you're right. If you really want to find someone, there is someone to find.
Hmm.
All too often, I hear both men and women saying, "Oh, I've been on dating sites. They're horrible. There's only creeps out there. There's only scammers out there." And you know what? If that's your attitude, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what you're going to find. You're going to find the creeps and you're going to find the scammers because that's what you're bringing into your life.
What you focus
I don't
on is what you'll retract, right?
Bingo. Exactly. And so I don't focus on any of those things. I must tell you that I do have a very wonderful life because I do have a very wonderful outlook.
Uh-huh.
I really believe that it's honestly your outlook, it's your imagination. And I allowed myself to go through the pain of losing someone who I really felt was my life partner. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel that all of that was well worth it. Did Was I sad? Sure, I was sad. Were there days where I was unhappy? Sure, there were days where I was unhappy. But the outcome was so glorious that I would do it again and again and again and not even think twice about it.
Well, the depth of the feeling that you had was, I mean, anyone that's actually felt love that deeply and that rich feeling of just knowing that everything's okay is just amazing. And I just really applaud you for stepping out and moving forward and writing about it and sharing stories about it, and also coming on the pirate broadcast and sharing it with the audience and the pirates here. So
Thank
thank
you.
you so
Well,
much for
as I
being
said,
here.
I'm one of six stories, and there's five other very wonderful stories to read as well. And then, in addition to that, there it is a great resource guide, Russ,
Mhm.
which I want to make sure that people understand. It's not just the stories;
Yeah.
it's how you move through things, and then also once you decide that you want to move forward and you want to get out there again and you want to date, the kinds of things that you need to be aware of in moving forward to make sure that you get exactly what you want out of it.
Yeah. So if someone's listening today and they want to, explore this in their what's your first recommendation?
Well, if they're interested in if they're hurt, and of course, unfortunately, most people are when they go through a divorce. I know many people that they divorced 10 years ago and still have not gone through what they need to go through to get to the other side. So if there's anyone out there that have those feelings, whether, as I said, whether they want to live happily by themselves or whether they want to go back out into the world again and really look for a relationship, a good, strong, solid relationship, I would suggest that they reach out to me. I'm putting people on a VIP list so that way they can be part of the 7 steps to healing the pain of a broken heart.
I love that.
It's a 7-week course.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Tricia. And this connection is so much better than the last time we connected. So
Yes.
it's really appreciated. Author Liz says, great, such good advice. Absolutely. Wendy says, good morning. Our able-bodied admiral is a great catch. He has minions of fans who adore him, and he is a cool musician. Just saying. Thank you, Wendy. I love you. Bernard says hello, and Robert says hello. And just thank you so much for being here, Tricia. And I'm glad it worked out much better than the last time. And for anyone listening in, Tricia can be found, and I'll put show notes in and share it out. And also reach out to her if you're in a place where you're indecisive and you want to connect with her and have a conversation, book some time with her, and let her know that you're thinking about this and you want some advice and first steps in the way. So, as always, Pirates, we do this because kindness is cool and smiles are free, and we want you to enjoy your day. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much, Russ.
You bet. See you soon.
Take care. Bye now.
Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.